Welcome to the Home Pro Podcast, your source for expert insights and practical tips from the leading minds in home services. Get ready to conquer your local market with your host and founder of Big Fish Local, Seth Evans.
Seth Evans here. I am the host of the Home Pro Podcast, where we explore how digital marketing can empower home service professionals to become the big fish in their local pond. Join us for insights and strategies that drive growth and success. Today, we are introducing Kolton Rice from OpenEye Studios. He's the CEO and owner of the business. They are an award-winning video production agency based out of Springfield, Ohio. Welcome to the show, Kolton.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Well, I know, Kolton, you have worked with lots of organizations and small businesses and maybe even some larger businesses all over the place. And I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, so OpenEye Studios is a video production company, but we focus a lot on solving problems. I think that's a big issue that a lot of Springfield had, at least for a while, was there were all of these different video companies, and they're all great at what they do, but I don't necessarily know if they were solving problems or if they weren't necessarily hitting the right marks. I think that's kind of a big thing that video is meant to do. If it's not solving a problem or getting you more sales, building trust, building relationships, it's not really working. So we've been doing that for the last couple of years.
How did you get started with that?
Yeah, so I went to CTC for a couple of years in between my junior and senior year. Towards the end of my senior year, I kind of was like, let's try this, the beginning of my junior year, or end of my junior year, sorry. I was like, yeah, let's try this video thing. I had an internship in between my junior and senior year with a video company. Got into it beginning of my senior year. I started doing videos for clients. I was actually working for CTC on a lot of their videos as an employee of the school. So instead of going to like my trade program, I did that, which was really cool. Kind of gave me that like big boy job experience. Like you're actually sending emails and doing the things that you're doing, not just like doing your typical high school jobs, like working at a grocery store or a restaurant. It gave me some real world experience, which was super awesome. From there, COVID happened and everyone was having these live events, and they weren't having the live events anymore, what they used to. And they were like, well, what do we do now? How do we reach the people that we typically reach in these live events? We can't network with anyone now. And video kind of filled this gap of that. And I think Springfield always has been a few years behind what's happening in the world anyway. And so I think it just kind of gave that boost for video and allowed people to see the power that it really has.
So, Kolton, you know that here on the Home Pro Podcast, we have a lot of listeners in the home services trade. So, for example, roofers, electricians, plumbers, HVAC folks, and a variety of different home services folks. How would you say that video can be impactful or helpful for folks in that space?
Yeah, a big thing that a lot of people don't realize that video does more than any other form of marketing is that it can build trust. And when you're working with someone, let's say you hire a plumber, you kind of want to know who's coming into your home. Who are these people? Who's coming to your house? Sometimes you're not even there. And who's going to be doing that work? So for Home Pro specifically, it allows them to build trust faster than any other means of marketing outside of just meeting someone face to face. But it allows you to do it on a much larger scale, much faster. And then from there, you can even begin to automate certain parts of your process. Let's say you have a frequently asked questions email that you automatically send out. Let's take that a step farther and let's make an automatic video email that's sent with, hey, super glad that you're hiring us to come fix your plumbing needs. In the meantime, check out these frequently asked question videos. Plus, we can also have an automated funnel of leads coming into you with some of the recruitment of client or potential clients through the video means there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually use video for home pros to do a couple of different things, but it all works holistically to kind of give you a nice foundation for your lead generation.
If you were talking with a small business owner in the home services space and they were really interested in getting into video, what would be some things that you would tell them to keep in mind, or some advice you might give them as they're just starting to dip their toes in the water?
It takes time. Video is definitely a long-term game. It's not like pay-per-click advertising per se, where you have ads, the ad goes out, someone clicks the ad, you get hopefully that dollar after the fact. It's not always that way. A lot of times what happens is we'll make a video, let's say we make it in January of the very beginning of the year. We pin that on your Facebook page. And then 6 months from now, you have someone who they need to get something fixed or whatever your service is that you offer. They're looking through 4 or 5 different companies. Like, who do we want to go with? This person is kind of the guy in a truck, or however. This person's a really big company that they've heard of, but they don't know much about them. But this person in the middle they have a video on their homepage. Let me watch it. Oh wow, I love what they do. It seems like they really care about their customers. So it allows you kind of to have that best first impression.
What would be some pitfalls or mistakes that you sometimes see when some of your clients or other folks in the field are starting to use video?
We don't see a whole lot of pitfalls or mistakes, but a lot what we do see sometimes is the processes are working, but they're not picking up the phone. So again, that's where kind of the process videos come into play, because if you're getting phone calls all the time, or if you don't have someone who's there to answer the phone, then what do you do? Because you're missing out on that at that point. So definitely being proactive about answering the leads when they come, but also being able to successfully navigate where to put them. A lot of times, if we don't typically just make a video and then send you on your way, but I've heard a lot of stories where that is what happens. We try to be more, okay, here's where you should put this. Here's why you should put it there. And here's all the assets you need to put it there. So we give them all the information they need to go ahead and do that. So much so where we make a full strategy and we give them a PDF of the strategy of here's this video, here's what's going to happen next, and all of the wires that's connected to. So they're not lost. But that's something we've seen a lot is people coming and saying, yeah, I had this video done and I didn't even know where to post it. Some of them don't post the videos. And then that's a huge waste of you paid for the video, you got the video, but now it's just sitting as a file on your computer, taking up space, doing nothing. And that's not what we want to see.
Thanks. I was thinking about video and some of the things I sometimes hear from the folks that we work with from a marketing standpoint. And of course, video has so many uses in the marketing ecosphere. But one thing that I've heard from some of our clients and folks that we've worked with is that the initial price tag of video sometimes seems it seems like a lot of money. This is a big investment. Am I really going to get, my money back out of it? Is there a good ROI? How do you respond to folks when they have those kinds of thoughts or objections around doing a more professional video production than maybe they could do with their iPhone?
Yeah, it's not the cheapest form of marketing by any means. I always say it's like a first impression. You would never pay to have, like, if you have a logo that's really, really bad, that's what people see. That's how they know you. And you don't want that to represent you. And there's a common, it's a saying, it's no video is better than bad video, because we don't want you to have a bad first impression. So it's very important to get it done right the first time, so you're not going back and trying to cover up some of these things that you've skipped by on. Now you can have cell phone videos all day, of course, but it's when you try to make a very high-end video without the budget that it kind of makes it look like it's missing something. Now, if you just take out and let's say you have an event and you're just taking a quick snapshot with your phone, that's totally okay. But when it comes into one of these deeper, higher budget, higher production value kind of videos, it definitely does get a little bit pricey, but it's worth it because of the longevity or the shelf life. And I talk about this a lot, the shelf life of a video. A lot of times the shelf life of like a social media post is probably a couple days to a week, maybe 2 weeks, not long. But a video, however, you can continue to post it in different places or share it with different people for years, as long as nothing changes. Now, if you have a whole structure change to your organization and the video doesn't match what currently is happening, then you can't use that. But we'd be able to take the video we made 3 years ago, and as long as everything looks evergreen, we can continue to use that video for any and all marketing purposes. So the lifetime upfront or the cost upfront might be a little high, but over the lifetime, it relatively ends up being more affordable than some other uses. Like if you're doing pay-per-click, for example, there's a lot of upfront costs for that, and you have to keep paying to keeping the leads coming in. It's kind of like SEO in terms of once you pay for it once, it's kind of set, and then you can always add to it if you'd like, but you kind of have that foundation built.
Tell me about a time when maybe one of the folks that you've worked with have used video really, really well, and it's helped them accomplish a big goal they had, or it's fixed a problem that they had, or overcome an obstacle that they've had, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this kind of goes into what makes us a little bit different at OpenEye Studios is we're big on strategy. We can sell you one video, and if that's what you want, great. But we're going to try to educate you on why it sometimes does make more sense to have 2, 3, 4, 10 videos, depending on what you're needing. So for this client, we had what we call a sales trifecta. It's 3 different types of videos, and we actually added a fourth to make it 4 different types. And there's a couple of each one. It starts with a brand message video. Now that's who you are, what you do, but most importantly, why do you do what you do? It's around a 3-minute video that just explains all of that. And that's kind of what goes on your Facebook page, maybe your LinkedIn, it goes on your website. Everyone should be able to see it. It's kind of like your billboard video. It's this big, flashy, it shows everything. It's super exciting. And then we go into promotional videos, and those are around 60 seconds each. And it's about a single service that you might offer. Let's just say you offer windows, gutters, and siding or something like that. It would be about one of those services. And it's very niched down, and it's a scripted video with the B-roll that we used for all the other videos. And then we also have testimonials, and that's really important because people buy from people, not businesses. People want to hear the success of someone else. So when we package all of these together, we have great assets or amazing assets that we can now use. And we start with, let's say, like a Facebook ad or just even a Facebook post with the promotional video, which is what happened here. Then the promotional video leads to a landing page, which has the brand message video up on the front. As you scroll down a little bit, you get some social proof with testimonials. And for this client, when you scroll all the way down to the page, if you were ready to sign up, you would fill out a form, and then that would give the client your email and your contact, your phone number, all of that. But what it did for you is it sent you a process video. So as soon as you fill out your form, it said, hey, thank you so much. We're super excited that you're joining forces with us. Here are some commonly asked questions, and here's what happens next. This client had there was a lot of things that they had to go through before they officially sign on. And they would once someone signs up, they would end up calling and saying, hey, when does this start? How do I do this? Asking all of the same questions. So we simplified that by making the video which answered all the questions first. So then if they have questions beyond that, they can call, and then it allows the employee to have their time back. So they're not doing they're not having a phone call every day, all day with the same people or with different people answering the same questions. And so I asked all my clients before we start, like, how are we going to measure success? I know how I measure video success, like metrics, but what does it mean to you? Some people have, like this client had a spreadsheet of if their name was in red, it means that they haven't been, this was a foster care agency, so they have not been fostered yet. But then the green means that they have. And over the course of, I think it was a year, which is how long we've been working together, they had over like 10 people go from red to green. It wasn't just the videos, but they have contributed several to the video. And every person that signs up, they get around $10,000. I think this was a $30,000 campaign that we did. And if they've had even 3, which I think they've had more, they've at least made their money back. So that kind of shows a couple things we've talked about so far, how it's not like you won't see that dollar the next day that we post the videos. But if we use them strategically in a way that makes sense for you and your organization, we'll see it really be this beautiful thing that allows you to, one, make more money, but also allows you to have so much more time back. And I think that's what's really beautiful about it.
Oh, I love that. And I know that, like I said, in my own work here in digital marketing, we see video used in so many different ways. It's sometimes surprising to me how many different how many different ways you can use video. And you just named several right there. When it comes to testimonials, I heard that is one that you mentioned. Tell me more about that. Do you find that video testimonials are even more powerful than, say, for example, traditional Google reviews or other methods of getting testimonials?
Yes, but I think it's something where if you can do both, do it. If you can have the person that you're going to have in the testimonial video, why not have them leave a review really quick? The testimonials show around 3 minutes of their story. And what's beautiful about those is that we get to hear their perspective before they found the solution to their problem, whatever that was. Let's say, again, let's just use a plumber. Let's say that they've hired other plumbers before and they came in and they left their shoe marks all over their white carpet. Like, how dare they? And then you hear, well, then I found out about ABC plumbing and I tried them once. I was already a little on edge because of my prior experience with plumbers, but they came in and they put covers on their shoes. That was something I've never seen. They laid something down so they're not leaving their muddy footprints on my white carpet. So you get to hear the before, the problem, and then the solution that ABC company provides. And they just provide so much social proof. And then once you have a couple different stories that all kind of convey the same message, it's a really awesome thing. Plus, you can show some really cool B-roll of your employees working. And then even better is another what I call like a hidden use that most people don't think about is sometimes you can take a screenshot from a video and let's say you have an about us section on your website. And right now you just have a stock photo. You could take a screenshot from the B-roll we've used and now you have a photo that's actually your team working on the about us section without having to pay any extra money. So that's kind of a cool hidden use of video.
That is cool. When it comes to video testimonials, and I'm thinking in the home services space especially, it might be hard to sometimes connect with the folks after the job is done, and you're trying to reach back out to them and interrupt their busy day to get one of these videos. Have you found any tips or tricks that you've used or you've helped your clients use to kind of entice those people to come back and make those kind of videos?
Yeah, so sometimes the clients will offer. We actually have had this before, where the client will tell their client, "Hey, if you're in this video for me, I will give you discount off of this," like something along those lines. So that's one way that people have been able to kind of entice them. But a lot of times, we don't see very many. We don't have a lot of clients that aren't will or don't have someone lined up even if it's inside their head, because when you get one of these clients that are your biggest fans, your supporters, they're typically very happy to do this for you. Sometimes people are a little camera shy, so that's always a hurdle we have to get over. But 9 times out of 10, there's at least 3 people that they have in their mind that are, again, the people that are raving supporters about them. So they just kind of give them a call, and typically they are a-okay to get to do it.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Um, Colton, I know that you have built an award-winning agency in a really short amount of time. It's amazing to see how your business has grown. I've been there since near the launch. I've been following your business and just the growth that you've experienced and the positive changes. So I have some questions for you about that, which I'm going to ask you in just a second. So as you're thinking back through some of that history, I'm going to read a quick message from our sponsor, who, in fact, this week is my business, Big Fish Local. So, Big Fish Local is the sponsor of today's message. They are your trusted partner in navigating the digital landscape. Our dedicated team specializes in creating impactful digital marketing strategies tailored to your business needs. From optimizing your website for search engines to enhancing your presence on social media, we are here to help you thrive in your local market. Discover the potential of your business with Big Fish Local's comprehensive marketing solutions. For more on how we can boost your online visibility and drive growth, visit us on the web at bigfishlocal.org. That's bigfishlocal.org. We'll see you there. All right, Colton, we're going to switch things back over to you, and I'd love to hear about a little bit more about your business and some of the lessons you've learned along the way. I think that all business owners and business leaders, we share some common wisdom that we can use to help one another out. But before we get into the wisdom, I heard that you recently won an award. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we just won our second Telly Award. The Telly Awards is like the cousin to an Emmy, is kind of how I've heard it referred. Essentially, it is an online award, almost like an award show, um, for video throughout TV, online, and then broadcast media. So all of those things, and there's a lot of different categories. There's over 13,000 entries globally, and we won best documentary, I think, because we did a short documentary. So best like short doc, basically, for a project. It was a client of ours who wanted to show the effects of underage drinking, not just on the youth who's drinking, but all of the people that it hits. I mean, the parents, the local police officers, the local employers, and it won an award because it was such a fun story to tell. And I was confident when sending it. I was really hoping we were going to get an award, and just hearing the stories. And that's my favorite part about what I do, is just being able to hear those. And some of the stories were really impactful. And I kind of thought to myself, I was like, this has a pretty good shot, I think. So we'll see what happens. And then it went well.
That's really cool. And to win two awards back to back like that, I think is really impressive. Do you think that, like I know in the home services space, there are awards for safety, for uh, performance, different measures like that. Has applying for and receiving those awards had any impact on your business that you know of?
Not necessarily. I can't confirm that per se. Like, I don't have any metric to track it. I do think it makes us more reputable, though. I think that's a big thing. It's not hard now to pick up a camera and within a couple years be able to run a production company. It's kind of just a natural progression for most people. So being able to have a couple of awards is definitely increases our reputation. So people know that we're legit and that we actually do things. We have had a few more like corporate clients, like big corporations that you would hear every day that they might be having a project in the Ohio area and they need a local production agency. We've had a couple more of those people reach out. So maybe that's why, maybe not. Definitely the reputation side.
Okay, cool. Well, if not just from the awards, what would you attribute to some of the traction and results that you've seen, especially over the last year? I know your business has just grown a ton over the last year. What would you say were some of the biggest factors that played into that?
I think it's just the people we work with, and we're pretty selective on our clients. Not that we can't work with some people, but we definitely like to work with clients that match our level of fun and energy. If they're very, very, I always go back to like the typical lawyer kind of thought, the suits and very, very kind of strict. We're creatives. We like to be creative. So a lot of times the more fun clients give us some freedom and some flexibility when it comes to making those projects. And when we have those, because we're able to be a little bit more creative in some of the thinking and some of the videos we do, they then refer us to other people. And that's the biggest thing, is just being able to have a good, solid video that you can give to someone, so much so where they want to refer you to other people. One client we had, he referred me to another client, and they referred me to one more, and they referred me to another. So from one client, we got 4 more referrals all from that. So that was kind of like, wow, this referral thing really does work. But it's doing good work, and then being able to kind of be a leader in the local market for videos, definitely is helping that. There's not a whole lot of companies in Springfield, so I think we're all pretty much the leaders in the area. But because Springfield is a smaller area and there's not as many companies, each one can kind of lead in their own niche. Even though we're not specifically niched down, our styles are pretty niche, and some people like it more than some others, which is completely fine. That's the beauty of the creative side.
Yeah, that's great. I've looking back on my own time as a business owner, I know those first couple of years I went through a lot of bumps in the road and made my own share of mistakes. And I bet a lot of the folks listening to this can relate as their business was early on. Did you have any big challenges or mistakes or anything that you overcame in those first few months or the early days of your business that you'd like to share?
Yeah, a big thing for me was my age. Maybe no one said it explicitly, but it was kind of always there. Like I was always thinking like I'm 18, 19, working with people who have been running their businesses for 20 plus years. What do I know? So the imposter syndrome also hit hard. But it's a thing where I just have to keep thinking like people are continuing to pay, clients are returning, I must be doing something right. And I try not to be too hard on myself because I don't want to be in a dark spot necessarily where I just beating down on myself because I don't think you can be very productive when you are so belligerent on knocking yourself down. Um, but my age, like I talked to a couple people and I was like, man, if only I was older. Or I would see other people who are in the industry and they're so much older and they're doing so much better. And like, if only I was a couple years older, I could do that. And it came with time. I mean, just a couple years went by. I did get older. I matured a little bit. So that definitely helped. But also just doing good work and trying to do that no matter the case. I mean, I was young, but still I wanted to be able to do good work like the guys who have been doing it for 15, 20 years. Like they've been doing good work. I just want to follow in their footsteps. And the only way to do that is to get yourself out there and do it. So that's kind of what I did. And it seems to work.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I feel like many leaders have experienced some of those same self doubts, and I think you're right on the money that just facing that fear or that doubt and just moving ahead is the best way through. So it was great to hear about that. Uh, do you have any of your own daily or weekly rituals or any routines that you follow that help keep you centered and focused and moving the business forward?
Yeah, I'm not a 9 to 5 kind of guy. And that's what I love about being self-employed and doing this and being the creative. Sometimes my most creative and productive moments are from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. So if I'm able to do that, that's the beauty of it. And just accepting the fact that it's okay to not have the traditional work schedule. I don't have to be in an office from 9 until 5 p.m. That's been the biggest thing for me because it also allows me to have some of that work life balance. If there's things that, like Kelsey, she's off during the summer because she's a teacher. If she wants to go kayaking on a Monday afternoon when it's really nice, I can do that and then be like, okay, well, let's just pick up where I left off later tonight. That's the biggest thing is just having that balance and knowing yourself enough to know what works for you.
Colton, do you have any mentors or people that you look up to as leaders, either in your industry or outside of your industry, just leaders in general, who you feel like have been a real positive influence for you?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many people. Mo Carpenter's a good friend of mine, and he is so wise. He is such an awesome person to talk to. Ethan Dewhurst, he helped me out a lot. Kind of in the very beginning, I was an intern for him for a while. He owned a production company in the area. You, of course, you've helped me in several instances. Chad Yance, there's so many people to thank. Just I couldn't do it all right now because everyone has played a small step and just dropped a little ounce of wisdom in me, and I take it and run. And that's I can't thank anyone enough.
That's cool. As you look back, over the years, you just accumulate all of these positive influences in your life, and it it's a reminder that you have that same opportunity to pour into others. I know that you have your own team that you've been building up over these last couple of years. What have been some things that you have tried to instill in the folks on your team that you work with?
Yeah, I just want them to know that, like, even if this is actually something we talk about a decent amount. Even if I'm not there, do everything as if I was, because I want to set them up for a way that makes them they're self-sustainable almost, where they are full of integrity. They're going to do it right the first time because that's how it needs to be done. And just do good work and be happy to be around, be a joy, have people be super personable and let the client say, man, I just really loved working with your team, even though you weren't there. I mean, they're super nice, they're super easy to work with. That's what I want. Not everyone can do that and just have fun. We're in such a fun industry where we get to make these films almost. every project is completely different. So just being able to appreciate the projects for what they are, have fun, enjoy the work, enjoy working with the clients, and do the good work. And they have done that for years since I've been working with them all. And I can't thank them enough either for helping me and pulling me out of some issues that I get myself in, and that they're always there to back me up.
All right, super. I do have a few personal questions. I always like to kind of wrap up with some fun things. So, first question I have in that regard is, what's something that most people don't know about you? Maybe a quirk or a strange habit, a hobby, a skill, just anything that is kind of unusual that maybe, like I said, the most people wouldn't guess.
I was skydiving when I was 18. That one's probably like the biggest, like that's like one of my like two truths and a lie. Um, so that's definitely a big one. But also, I really enjoy Legos. Like I keep collecting. Every time we get a project, I try to get Legos so that when I'm editing a video, I can get like really kind of zoned in. And then after a couple hours, I needed like a small like 20-minute break. But instead of getting on my phone, I would start building Legos, and that keeps my mind moving. So I'm not like breaking this flow that I have. So when I'm ready to jump back in the computer, I can do that. That's kind of a little quirk, I guess, of mine.
Yeah, that's great. What was the thing that you originally wanted to do when you grew up? Like, what was that first vision you had of your future before you moved into the video space?
Okay, yeah. I think I wanted to be an astronaut. I think that was like the first thing. At one point, I wanted to be a police officer, an astronaut, and a cowboy all at the same time. I don't know how old I was. I know I was really young, but but clearly that has not worked out as well as I hoped. But I'm happy with where I'm at.
What is the biggest thing that has changed for you over the last 3 to 4 years?
I had to grow up quick. I mean, I went from like I was in high school, and then I was running a business, and there wasn't really much time in between there. I started the business when I was in high school, and I'm so glad I did. I was never really immature, but it definitely made me mature if I wasn't already on that way. Just kind of having to grow up, and I love learning about different like business industries, which is super like nerdy, but it's so much fun for me. And learning about like personal finance, like all that stuff, I really enjoy. So I guess yeah, maturing has kind of led to everything else.
Yeah, that sounds good. Obviously, you're on a podcast today. Do you listen to any podcasts on your own? And if so, what are some of your
Huh.
favorites?
So there is a morning talk show produced by HubSpot called the Hustle Daily Show. It's a 10-minute podcast every morning where they give updates, whatever's happening in the business and tech industries. As AI grows like crazy, they always kind of keep up with that. And there's so much to keep up on that I like that podcast to be kind of the one. There's a couple comedy podcasts I started listening to, like Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer have Two Bears, One Cave. That's a good one. Um, and then there's a lot of video podcasts I listen to. There's one called like Creative Coffee with Creative, something like that. But it's two creatives get together and they talk about things that's going on. Um, yeah, I haven't found a podcast like that's my show, because my problem is they're always so long. Like I can't sit there for like an hour and a half. Like I need like a 20-minute drive, because like I'm in my car listening to the podcast and then I'm done. I can't pause it and then come back to it a day later, and then I get lost where I'm at. And they always produce them so fast. So like I kind of got into audiobooks instead of podcasts lately, but I have like my select like two or three that I always go back to.
Okay, super. Yeah, I have kind of a similar story. I have a few that I return to again and again, and then insert audiobooks in between. So, yeah,
Right.
great, great. All right, well, it's time for our final question. And so here it is, Colton. What I really want to know, and what everyone listening might want to know as well, is if you had one piece of wisdom to share with folks in the home services space, one thing that really stands out that you feel like would really be helpful to folks, what would that one thing that you'd want to leave on?
It would be, no industry is future proof. So look at your marketing, look what's going to happen in the next 5 years, and make a decision there. Some people aren't on the video train, not to say do video, Not only because I am in the industry, but it's something that you have to eventually do. Several people in the industry and like these marketing like influencers have said that if you're not using video now, one, you're going to fall behind and your business is not going to exist in the next couple of years. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I see some truth to it, but I see this much truth. There's a lot of things that go into that. But yeah, just making sure that your business is set up for success for the next several years. If it's been 10 years since you've done anything new, maybe kind of look at that and say, okay, where can we improve some processes and make things a little bit better?
Great. Thanks, Kolton. Well, we
Absolutely.
have been talking with Kolton Rice, who is the founder and CEO of OpenEye Studios, an award-winning video production agency based out of Springfield, Ohio, and serving quite a wide service area. Kolton, where can people learn more about you?
Absolutely. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so they can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Kolton Rice, Kolton Rice. My website also has a lot of great information there about video. We post a lot of the LinkedIn articles that we make onto the blog page there. That website is openeyestudios.com. You can also check out some of the work if you're interested in kind of seeing what we do. There's a couple things that we've done on there.
All right, Kolton, thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to the Home Pro Podcast. Be sure to click subscribe to be notified of future episodes. We'll see you again next time.